Let's paint a portrait of Aloy, the heroine from the Horizon games. The reference image came from the gameplay trailer for Horizon Forbidden West, which is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. The process started off with a slightly detailed sketch, where I outlined Aloy's features as well as adding more details. Of course, I didn't get everything right the first time. For instance, the shape of her face wasn't quite right. In order to fix this, I used Procreate's Liquify tool, which allowed me to move things around and even make things smaller and bigger. It's honestly a great tool, and I find it the most helpful during the sketch phase, as it tends to distort the lines and the textures, and when I'm using a textured brush, that's not ideal, but it's fine for when you're doing sketches. After I was happy with my sketch, it was desaturated, so it was easier to trace the most important features. I chose to leave the contours of Aloy's face open, as I like the lightness this creates in the line art. I often add a bit of colour to the lines to make sure that they aren't too harsh, and here I used a layer set to clipping mask, as this allows for a non-destructive way of adding colour. When adding colours, I worked the same way as in the previous Aloy portrait. I worked in layers to get the colour balance right, and I used brushes that mimic watercolours to create the texture and transparency I wanted. The smudge tool was also used for these coloured sections in order to remove harsh transitions. A little fun fact about this image. Because the canvas was so big, I only had 14 layers to work with. This is a limitation with Procreate, as they cap the number of layers based on the canvas size, but it's also rooted in the amount of RAM your iPad has. To get around this issue, I would merge layers of similar colour when I was happy with how they looked. And having just a few layers to work with might seem limiting, just like working with a set amount of colours. However, it forces you to make decisions quicker, and that helps speed things up. The background of this image eluded me a bit, as I couldn't quite decide what to do. I quickly realised that a solid colour wasn't the way to go. I wanted something more subtle, so I ended up focusing on the plants that Aloy used as cover in the game, and it paid off in the end, and I'm really pleased with how it all turned out. This image was painted using only 6 colours and white, though there appears to be a lot more colours due to the transparent layers that blend and create new colours. If you have any questions about my process, let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. More process videos are up on my YouTube channel, and check out my social media accounts for more of my work.